Hello, my name is Daniel Riedel, and I am the Senior Vice President of Business Transformation at Copado, and I'm here today to talk about DevSecOps. DevSecOps happens to be a topic that I'm very passionate about because I fundamentally believe to build secure systems and secure software and secure infrastructure, you have to do it while you're actually building the software itself. You need to build resilience into the application day one with modern software development methodologies focused around DevSecOps. This isn't, by the way, just my thinking, obviously. We have standards bodies here in the United States, such as NIST. We have organizations such as OWASP and IEEE and others who also believe that DevSecOps is one of the best ways that we can actually build phenomenal software. So what is DevSecOps and where did it come from and how do we get to where we are today? Just a real quick, brief walk down the history. If you've been around any software development or software infrastructure talk and start talking about agile, you start talking about lean. There's a gentleman by the name of Deming that usually ends up coming into this topic. Deming was a part of a big movement back in the 1930s and the 1940s to think about how we could do manufacturing better as a society. And he made a lot of change and a lot of impact in how we create lean manufacturing. Toyota took this on for a while, but this whole concept of agility, leanness, reducing waste, and being efficient and driving quality was something that he's been known for starting. Back in 2001, in the software development world, traditionally, a lot of software was developed through what's called a waterfall methodology in project management, which means that you have this linear progression of tasks with dates associated with it, where you have to go through like a design phase task and you go on to the additional task and you kind of move basically waterfall. You go, from step 1, step 2, step 3. We found that as a society that ended up creating a lot of unrealistic expectations about dates and times. Budgets would go through the roof as a lot of software development deals with the unknown. And so we actually shifted in 2001. This document called the Agile Manifesto came out. And it was a new way of thinking about how you build software in a smaller release cycle, small teams, iterating frequently and making changes. Following beyond that, in the 2007 timeframe, as organizations built all this software and literally threw it over the fence to the operations team to go manage and kind of washed their hands of it and walked away and said, hey, the ops people can carry the pager and stay up all night. Some people kind of came around and said, this isn't working either. So we may have progressed from waterfall to agile, but we have to figure out how we can create a better working environment. And we actually need to bring the operations teams in and the software teams in and realize these things don't work in silos and that software always lives in some production environment. And so we have to manage it to get up to that environment. And that's sort of the concept around DevOps. And because of DevOps, we got, a big focus around automation, machines actually pushing the code instead of humans pushing the code. So that reduced defects quite a bit. Rigorous test infrastructure. So every time the code went from one point to another point, we have a rigorous testing environment that surrounds that. And then obviously we call this sort of the continuous integration, continuous development pipeline. And then we forgot something. Yes, security. Security is not something that should be done at the end of this process. because oftentimes by that time it's too late, and or back, let's say in the 2004, 2007 timeframe, somebody would go through all of this process. These people would work for a very long period of time. Some security czar came around and said, no, you can't release that. You have to go back to the drawing board, and frustrations ensued. Or we just released software that was had security vulnerabilities. And so back in the 2014 time period, a lot of the community started thinking about better ways of dealing with DevOps. So we had rugged DevOps, we had lean security, we had DevSecOps, we had SecDevOps, a garbling of terms, but everyone kind of came to, in the last 10 years, this concept of DevSecOps. For the purist, many of us feel like DevOps should embed DevSecOps, that we shouldn't have to call out the SEC inside of that environment. But at the end of the day, humans are forgetful, and it's good to kind of continue to remind them that there's these things that we need to do, like building resilient applications. Because at the end of the day, DevSecOps, when implemented with strong automation, strong tests, and a really good pipeline, is something that the pro code infrastructure environment has used successfully to build resilient systems, which is oftentimes the best advantage when dealing with cybersecurity challenges. At the end of the day, humans are fallible, and they're easier to attack than anyone else. And so oftentimes hackers do get in the system. We don't want them to be there. We spend billions of dollars on anti-intrusion software and detection software. But if you have this system in place and you have compromise, you are far likelier to be able to remove the infected system, recover, build a patch, fix a vulnerability, and get that code to production as fast as possible. Now, thank you for listening to my brief history of DevSecOps, but I really wanted to set the stage because DevSecOps has done so much for the pro code infrastructure world, but we have this new world that many of us are operating in. It's that low code, no code software development environment where citizen developers who oftentimes just come in and start utilizing tools today and drag and drop and create software are starting to build a majority of the applications that are out there. Now, they usually build it on environments that have what's called a shared responsibility model. They say, you know what, we'll make sure your data is secure, we'll make sure your environment's secure, like ServiceNow or Salesforce or Workday or any of these environments we've talked about that give you this power to basically just have a core application and drag and drop and your custom business logic is done. But the second that we start building that custom business logic, and the second that we start making changes, we get back to, again, humans are fallible. They make mistakes. They could mess up on access control. They could mess up on maybe connecting to a system that they shouldn't connect with wrong permissions. So these citizen developers who are new and they're passionate and we're democratizing the environment also need DevSecOps to be able to build resilient systems. And so they need to look at the tools and the capabilities to be able to bring in DevSecOps into their world so that they can also build secure, resilient software as well. Even in the shared responsibility model, when you're building logic can have fallacy to it. If the logic has fallacy to it, you have potential security issues, you have potential compliance issues, and these are things that we need to help build guardrails, just like we did in the pro code environment. So again, thank you for listening to me today. Talk about a little bit of the history of DevSecOps, talk about how I believe that we need to look at DevSecOps and low code, no code environments so that we can have a safer world and build this resilience into our infrastructure so that we can have phenomenal digital transformation.